The eredivisie has been wildly entertaining after just 21 matches played. Before the beginning of the 2022-23 eredivisie season, there were 3 clear title challengers, one of which was Ajax, who in the beginning saw an ungodly amount of changes. Manager Erik ten Hag had taken the boys of Amsterdam to heights not seen in a long time, which included that famous run in the Champions League in 2018-19. However, he was now gone, and Ajax would replace him with Alfred Schreuder. Schreuder, who was a former assistant manager at Barcelona and also manager at Club Brugge, had a very similar tactical scheme to Ten Hag's. But even if it was similar, it'd still be very difficult to instill that philosophy with the amount of players that left that summer. Ajax lost right winger Antony, center back Lisandro Martinez, center midfielder Ryan Gravenberch, striker Sebastian Aller, right back Nusser Mazraoui, and left back Nicolas Tagliafico. The players Ajax brought in last summer do have promise, but it's going to take a bit to adapt. Notable signings included left winger Steven Bergwijn from Spurs and center forward Brian Brobby from Leipzig. Another title favorite in Feyenoord saw some key players leave as well. Left winger Luis Sinisterra, center back Marco Senesi, and left back Tyrell Malacia. In turn, they brought in a bunch of promising young players for pretty cheap, one of which includes talented Mexican striker Santiago Jimenez. Manager Roger Schmidt also left during that summer after just 2 years in charge, and in his place comes the fox in the box Ruud van Nistelrooy. Lastly, there was PSV Eindhoven, who didn't lose as many players as their title rivals. In fact, I'd say the quality of the arrivals actually outweighs the departures by quite a bit. Gus Till, after a fantastic loan spell that saw him score 15, makes his move permanent. Luuk de Jong also returns to Eindhoven. He had previously scored 94 goals in 159 appearances. And a massive pickup was Xavi Simons on a free. Xavi Simons showed tons of promise for PSG, however, Pochettino would just refuse to play him.
No.
Other potential title contenders included AZ Alkmaar, Twente, and Utrecht, all of which had a 2% chance or lower of winning the league. Matchday 1 started, and it was pretty tame. Feyenoord and PSV started their campaigns in winning fashion. Ajax followed suit after a near scare against Fortuna Sittard, which saw the reigning champions down 1-0 for 48 minutes. Fast forward to matchday 3, things looked pretty standard aside from Feyenoord, who dropped points against Heerenveen. PSV jumped to the top of the league after inflating their goal difference at the expense of FC Volendam. Their lead would just last until matchday 5 though, when they lost to Twente away from home. Ajax that same matchday defeated SC Cambuur Leeuwarden 4-0 and jumped into first place. But also don't take your eye off AZ Alkmaar, who quietly sit third as one of the only 4 unbeaten teams currently. Alkmaar though unfortunately dropped down to 4th after a draw with 5th place Twente on matchday 6. PSV jumped into 3rd as a result thanks to a 90th minute penalty from Cody Gakpo.
In a cage, I read about did you say want?
Matchday 7 arrives and Ajax continue their reign at the top after a goal from Mohamed Kudus. Oh wait, never mind, this team can't defend for shit. On the other side of the country, we witnessed a feisty battle between 2nd place PSV and 3rd place Feyenoord. Oussama Idrissi opened the scoring first for Feyenoord, but then PSV responded not once but twice through Gerard Braithwaite and Cody Gakpo. Feyenoord then returned the favor in the 42nd minute. Gus Till then restored the lead for PSG minutes into the second half, only for that to be cancelled out by a beauty from Orkun Kokcu. But then the 83rd minute, Armando Obispo says "F it, I'm Bullet Bill," and sends PSV to the top of the league. PSV's reign did not last long though. They were shot down like a Chinese balloon in Myrtle Beach after an abysmal 3-0 loss to 17th place SC Cambuur Leeuwarden. Second place Ajax drew with go-ahead Eagles, missing a golden opportunity to take the top spot, which left 3rd place AZ Alkmaar to snatch the league lead after a 4-1 destruction of FC Groningen. Feyenoord would again drop points, and Twente's win against Vitesse would bring them within 1 point of 4th place. Matchday 9 was the first time not a single position in the top 5 changed. Don't get used to that though, because just 1 week later, and boom, a loss for 4th place Feyenoord has sent Alkmaar diving down to 4th. As a result, Ajax retrieved top spot again after a 7-1 destruction of Excelsior Rotterdam. But not too far off are PSV, who are breathing down their necks after a 6-1 win against Utrecht. Matchday 11 would see something rare, Ajax pulling away 4 points clear after 2nd through 4th dropped points. But then the following week, Ajax dropped points after a 2-2 draw with Vitesse. PSV, Feyenoord, Alkmaar, and Twente would all win and close the gap. Matchday 13 gave us fireworks with the top of the table clash between PSV and Ajax. Ajax may have had more possession and shots on target, but it would be PSV who came out on top, winning 2-1 to regain the league lead. Feyenoord also won that week, meaning Ajax would drop down to 3rd place. Alkmaar suffered a massive loss against Walwick, which opened the door for Twente to take 4th with a single point. Then to cap off the league before the World Cup break, PSV again lost the top spot after losing 1-0 to Alkmaar, while the Cheeseheads, yes, that's actually their nickname, regained 4th after another Twente draw. As a result, 1st place was taken over by 2nd place Feyenoord after a comfortable win against Excelsior Rotterdam. Ajax again dropped points for the 5th time this season, but maintained 2nd thanks to goal difference. While below that massive kerfuffle, we had Sparta Rotterdam, Utrecht, and Heerenveen just hanging in there. Before we can talk about the return of the league, we first have to quickly go over the January window. 1st place Feyenoord were left unscathed and also didn't make any moves. 2nd place Ajax, though, had a bit of a goalkeeping issue. Remco Pasveer at the time had the 3rd worst save percentage of any keeper in the eredivisie so far. To further back that evidence, his post-shot XG minus goals allowed is in the negatives. Post-shot XG is expected goals based on how likely the keeper is to save a shot. It is a far better way to measure a keeper's performances than just save percentage. Ajax, though, wasted no time in dealing with the issue at hand and brought in Geronimo Rulli for 8 million. Although at the same time, they do lose longtime veteran Daley Blind to Bayern. PSV fans, I think now is a good time to just look away. In one single window, PSV lost both Noni Madueke for 35 million and their goal producer and the league's top goal producer as well, Cody Gakpo, for 42 million. Who did they bring in? Thorgan Hazard and Fabio Silva.
I have a question for God. Why?
Although Alkmaar fans could be extremely happy with the January window. Aussie goalkeeper Matt Ryan was brought in for just 500k. The Cheeseheads also brought in attacking midfielder Sven Minans. Minans had 8 goal contributions for Sparta Rotterdam before the move. And Jordi Mihailovic, another attacking midfielder who scored 9 goals and assisted 4 in MLS last year. Finally, there was 5th place Twente, who had the best defense in the league by a country mile. They decided to add to their wall with the acquisition of Alphonse Samsted. On to matchday 15, where things remained pretty normal. Alkmaar dropped points against the Chelsea Industry Plants, and then Twente's win against FC Emmen jumped them into 4th as a result. Feyenoord draw with Utrecht, but lucky them, Ajax also take just 1 point from their opponents. PSV, with a great chance to overtake their rivals, missed the opportunity, drawing as well. No one wants to win the title. Matchday 16, on the other hand, sees absolute chaos unfold again. Ajax and Twente draw with each other. PSV also drop points, drawing with Fortuna Sittard. Alkmaar, having dropped to 5th the previous week, win their match against Heerenveen and do an Olympic long jump into 2nd. Ajax, since the return of club football, haven't won once. That run continues as they draw with Feyenoord. Both PSV and Twente win their matches, which sees Ajax drop all the way down to a season-low 5th. Alkmaar, though, continues to eye the prize despite the odds, as a win against Sittard brings them within 2 points of the league lead. Ajax again fail to win, and this time it's an embarrassing home draw against 17th place FC Volendam. After that abysmal result, the board finally said enough was enough and sacked Alfred Schroeder. They then appointed young Ajax manager John Heitinga to take over. Luckily for Ajax, though, both PSV and Twente dropped points as well. PSV since the break also haven't been in great shape. I know, shocker. But they've only earned 5 points in their last 4 matches. Meanwhile, in a rare case of events, both Feyenoord and Alkmaar are slightly pulling away from the pack. But I suppose you've forgotten. This league isn't normal. Matchday 19 arrives and the two drop points. For Feyenoord, it was a 1-1 draw against a tough defense in Twente, while for Alkmaar, it was an anarchic 5-5 draw with Utrecht. What's even more impressive about this result is that no one scored after the 80th minute. PSV, with the win against Go Ahead Eagles, closed the gap on the top 2, as do Ajax, who finally get their first league victory of 2023. Also, I know we haven't talked about Sparta Rotterdam too much, but to put into perspective of how insane this title race truly is, they are just 9 points from the top and drew their last 2 fixtures. Matchday 20 and Feyenoord earned their 7th draw of the season after an incredible 10-minute rally from Alireza Jahimbaksh. No? Okay. Alkmaar are set up with a great chance to go level on points, but can only conjure up a draw with Volendam. Might I add, 5th place Volendam, or the other orange as they're nicknamed since the break, have scored the 2nd most points. It should also be mentioned, they just promoted last year.
Is it possible to learn this power?
No.
Meanwhile, Ajax won a second consecutive match, which sends them above PSV into the Conference League spot. Twente have now drawn their last 3 games, but still according to 538 have a 3% chance of winning the league title. Into matchday 21, everyone in the top 7 aside from Utrecht earned 3 points. Finally, we're up to date with matchday 22. Let's get straight into the main event here, a top of the table clash between first place Feyenoord and second place AZ Alkmaar. Feyenoord didn't start swimmingly as they went 1-0 down thanks to an own goal. Luckily, Jahanbakhsh came to save the day right before halftime. Then the 90th minute, Marcus Holmgren Pedersen scores an absolute belter to send Feyenoord 3 points clear at the top. On the other hand, AZ Alkmaar dropped down to 3rd as a result of Ajax defeating Sparta Rotterdam. PSV continued to go the opposite direction with the draw against Utrecht. Luckily for them though, they remained 4th after Twente lost to go-ahead Eagles. Feyenoord sit 3 points clear at the top of the table. Their last title win was back in 2017, and the club has scored the second most goals in the league so far. Forward Danilo and defensive midfielder Orkun Kokcu have 8 goals respectively, while just behind them is attacking midfielder Sebastian Szymanski with 8 goals. Szymanski also leads the team in assists alongside fellow attacking midfielder Javairo Dilrosun. Feyenoord's strong backline ranks them as the 3rd best defense in the league. Their best performing defender is currently Slovenian David Hanko. Sitting in the Champions League playoff spot is Ajax, who have been pretty good considering the mass exodus that happened last summer, and they're starting to find form at a very perfect time. The boys of Amsterdam, despite everything this season, have still scored the most goals in eredivisie. League joint top scorer Brian Brobby returned to his former club and has done nothing but slice up the opposition. He scored 11 goals and assisted 2. Mohamed Kudus is an extremely talented player. The Ghanaian international has 8 goals so far. Steven Bergwijn was absolutely dead food for Spurs, but he's rejuvenated himself in the eredivisie. Then you have all reliable Steven Berghuis, who has scored 7. Now where's all this creativity coming from? Well, none other than Dusan Tadic, who has 12 assists already in the league. He's averaging 4.5 key passes per game. That's insane. The problem for Ajax though is that they still have a very shaky defense. It's only the 5th best in the league, but there is one player that they've been able to rely on for the most part, and that's defensive midfielder Edson Alvarez. Right behind them in the Conference League spot is Alkmaar, who are having a fantastic season. A lot of that comes down to their extremely entertaining attack. Forward Vangelis Pavlidis has 10 goals and 3 assists. Right behind him is attacking midfielder Jens Odgaard, who has a tally of 8 goals and 3 assists. The club's assisting leader, however, is Japanese right back Yukinari Sugawara with 6 to his name. Another player key to this team is defensive midfielder Tiani Reinders, 4 assists and averages the most key passes per game of any other Alkmaar player. Alkmaar has only lost once in the league since the restart. If they can keep up this run, we could potentially see the title return to the city for the first time since 2009. However, their defense can't crumble. They have the 7th best defense in the league. From 4th to 7th place is the European competition playoffs. I don't really know how they work because there's no Wikipedia page for them. There's like a hyperlink to it, but it doesn't go to anything. PSV saw both their top goal scorer and another promising attacker leave, so understandably they've been the worst performing team of the current 6 since the restart. That though hasn't stopped Xavi Simons from being an absolute stud with 10 goals and 5 assists so far. Not to mention there's still Gus Till, who has scored 7. Eindhoven also have creative support through Joey Veerman, who has 5 assists. There's another bigger problem that has been affecting PSV for much longer though, and of course that's their defense. It is currently the 8th worst, so if they really want to improve this title charge, I mean, it starts with the defense. One team's defense you can rely on though is 5th place Twente. The Reds have been an extremely difficult opponent to face, especially at home. In 11 home matches, they've gone unbeaten in every single one. This is Denver levels of home field advantage. While their away record is pretty mediocre, they still hold the best defensive record in the league, conceding just 15 goals. According to Who Scored, both Gismol and Joshua Brenet have been the best fullbacks in Eredivisie. Goalkeeper Lars Unerstal has been key as well, with an 83.3% save percentage, the 2nd best in the league. But there's an even more important aspect of the Twente defense, and that's the double pivot of Ramiz Zarouki and Michael Sadalek, the best fullbacks in Eredivisie. When it comes to goals, Twente's best producer is a man by the name of Ricky van Wolfswinkel. He's contributed to 12 goals. Another team with a strong defense has been 6th place Sparta Rotterdam. The Castle Lords have the 2nd best defense in the league, and their keeper is the main reason for that. Nick Goalie has been the best keeper in the league with a save percentage this season of 83.9%. In terms of goal scoring, there's 3 3 players Sparta can look up to. Forward Tobias Lauritsen and midfielder Arno Verschuwen both have 7, but Vito van Krooi has 8 on top of another 6 assists. Finally, there's the last of the playoff teams, 7th place Utrecht. The attack and defense create a balanced stat of Jameis Winston. 35 goals scored, 35 conceded. 33% of those goals scored come from league joint top scorer Anastasios Douvikas. Of course, since I am from the US, I have to inject a little bit of propaganda, like I'm an American news outlet from 2003. 21-year-old Taylor Booth has been very promising, with 5 goal contributions to his name. But that is your eredivisie season review so far. It's a very exciting league, and I do recommend a lot of people to watch it, because I'm sure the chaos is only just beginning. But are there any other leagues having this same kind of chaos? Let me know. But of course, a massive shout out to all our patrons, including Janos Balas, Chris Damasceno, El Fabi, Miliwe009, Weston Ware, Aldipu, Alex Rod, Ulta, Amin Suamez, Aresan, Carlos Anaya, Daniel Ortiz, Francisco Hernandez, Juan Leras, Miguel Munoz, Nguyen Mintang, Return Fire, Rory Burns, Saw, The Motor Drive, Tomicus, Trevor Batson, Vanilla Mexican 17, Victor, David Dunn, Declan Malloy, Dominic Griffin, Emmett Shea, Lewis, Joe Paricio, Jordan Clavat, MX Weeb, Niche, Patrick Barley, and Unbroken Persona. If you'd like to join the Patreon, there'll be a link down below and up in the annotations. You can follow my Twitter if you want, follow my Instagram if you like, follow my TikTok, trying to get to 20,000 there, and of course you can follow my semi-active Twitch. But until then, I'll see you guys.